Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's been a while since I filmed one of these POV street photography videos, and there was no better time to do it than the Chinese New Year parade in San Francisco. This is the first one in a long time. I think it's been 3 years since pre-pandemic. If you already don't know by now, the Bay Area has a huge Asian population, so I knew that I had to go out to this comeback parade of the decade, and I had to bring my good old gear, so let's get into that real quick. I was running a double Leica system, so I had my M10-D hanging around my neck by a Clever Supply Co. short leather strap with the Peak Design integration. There will be a link in the description for that. And I had my film camera, the M6, wrapped around my wrist so that I didn't have dual cameras hanging from my neck. I think that would have been a little bit too much. Having one for quick access was nice. On the digital M10-D, I was rocking a 28mm Voigtlander lens for that more wider field of view. And on the M6, I was running my 35 Summicron because I've been enjoying the 35mm focal length a little bit more. And you might be wondering what this gigantic flash is. I do have a mini little flash by Leica that I use, but I wanted a flash that had a stronger output. The Leica really wasn't cutting it. So this Godox, I think it's called the V1, has an incredibly strong power output. It's meant for more professional settings. It's supposed to be a speed light that I use for my Canon R5, and I was able to get up and close to the action, so I was ready. So let's jump into the footage.
Oh, this is where they're starting?
Thank you so much.
Alright, after I got those warm-up shots in, I was getting more comfortable with the focal length and using a flash at full power. I was fully committed to using this flash because of how dark it was for the film that I was using, which was Portrait 400 and Portrait 800, and I'm just a fan of using flash for street photography to have my work stand out. Once the party got started and the line dancing began, it was kind of hard to get a good angle and a good picture because of how much was going on. I didn't want to photograph the full chaos and have my pictures just feel super undirected. So to combat that, I tried to add layers in my photo so that it's not just one sole subject in the center of the photo. I could have people in the foreground be blurred out and people in the back. So once this line dancing group started walking down the street, they were actually kind of fast and I was struggling to keep up. As you can see, there are a lot of people just streaming down the street trying to photograph what was going on. Luckily for me, on this day, everybody expects to be photographed, so using a strong flash didn't really set anybody off. Once I came up on this corner, I noticed there was a kid that was wearing this little lion dance costume of his own, and I really wanted him to look towards me so I can flash and photograph him through his mask, so I can get kind of his eyes in the mouth of the dragon or the lion. Unfortunately, time wasn't on my side and that parade was still going, so I just took what I can get, and I still like the photo. It's kind of funny. So what's happening right now is that this particular Chinese line dancing company is just going through the streets, playing the drums and doing line dancing, and meeting up with other clubs in this one part of downtown SF so that the giant Chinese New Year parade can start. This club was moving so fast, it was so hard to photograph them, but I came up on this really random street corner where there were Star Wars people. They did eventually become a part of the Lunar New Year parade. I don't really know why, because Star Wars is not related to Chinese culture at all, but I managed to snap this photo of this random dude in his rebel outfit drinking coffee. Also, a small detail that I wanted to point out was that I intentionally picked this shirt. This is one of my old Asian League basketball shirts. It has a Chinese character on the back, as you probably can tell, but I chose to pick this shirt because I thought that it would actually help me blend in with the crowd, with the people who were working the parade, and it did work perfectly. Nobody ever consulted me. Nobody ever asked what I was doing, even though I had so much camera gear around me. So that's a little tip for you. Your clothing actually does matter in how other people see you in the streets, and you could even get up close to people if you do blend in enough.
It's crazy out here. So much going on, and I have to keep up with this traffic. Just carrying so much stuff, but it's so fun.
After a lot of walking, the suffering finally ended because this club reached the end point where all the other companies and clubs are going to meet for the actual beginning of the Lunar New Year parade. This finally gave me the opportunity to kind of roam around on my own pace and photograph what was going on, and these were some of the photos that I really enjoyed.
Starting now. I don't know what to do anymore because I don't know if I can get close to the action. Everything is fenced off, but maybe I'll blend in. We'll see.
So yeah, like you guys just read, my hand got burned from one of those exploding firecrackers. It was insane because I thought the whole thing was over. I didn't know there was a second stage. And then all of a sudden my hand just gets hit with one of those flaming fireballs and singed my hand a little bit, but I was completely fine and I was able to go back to doing the street photography stuff. So I was able to luckily get past the gates and get up close to the parade dancers and performances. I even sometimes turned around and photographed the crowd because everybody was bunched up behind the gates. I feel like the photos that I got in this part of the night were pretty cool initially, but just satisfactory after looking at it even more. I think I was just overwhelmed with how much there was going on. I think I might have benefited more by shooting on the 28mm more or having a wider lens in general, because the 35 was nice to get maybe 2 to 3 subjects in focus, but the activity was so high that the 28mm would have probably been more appropriate. As I do the street photography thing more and more, I do notice myself improving in some areas and getting more curious about others. For example, I've never really dabbled in the whole like using flash for street photography stuff, but I've been studying Bruce Gilden's work. And Bruce Gilden, if you don't really know who he is, if you YouTube him, he's gonna seem like the jerk in New York City that kind of goes in people's faces and flashes a really bright light in people's eyes. I'm starting to lean more towards that. Not necessarily his technique of photographing people, but rather the results. But hey, I do think that you, the viewer, should try to use flash in your photography. I think it'll make your work stand out even more because most people don't use flash. Mine is such a basic flash. It does have a high output, but you could get this on B&H, or you could get like a copycat off of some Amazon website, but I'll go more in depth of that later. Here are some of my favorite photographs of the day. The colors of the lion dance suits, the dragons and all that stuff were really good. But I'm really happy with some of these results because I think I've finally found a style that I want to pursue even more, and who knows, we can make a zine or a book out of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, and comment down below for more street photography videos or anything else photography related, and I will see you in that next video. Peace.